Sorry, Geoff. Sorry, Geoff.
No. I mean, that is like the key to the Flyers right now. I like the way Tortorella's playing the top lines too. Travis Konecny shots, props have been gold so far.
Funny, right?
Yep.
What's been that big change, you think? Because is it just aggression? Is it like opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched every Flyer game or anything.
No.
But
like,
I think it's Tortorella just leaning on his best players,
which
I
is
think
amazing.
he does well.
Being done earlier.
Yeah, like I think that's just something that he knows that the weakness of his lineup. He knows that he's got a bunch of like a couple good players, and he just leans on them. And it'll probably burn out a little bit at some point if they don't add some talent. But yeah, I think that's the big thing.
Boy, I wonder. They play Saturday, right? Konecny now. It's not going to be.
Yeah, what did I
just hound his over on shots.
That's what I've been doing to start the year. I don't know what his prop. They may have moved his prop though. I mean,
never know.
I've
Those
hit
are
him up
small
like
markets.
3 times, and he's smashed the over on all of them.
I love that. I love it. Welcome in. It is the No House Advantage strategy show here as we get you ready for the weekend that will be. Thank goodness we put away in the books another Thursday night game, although I feel like a lot of people, whether or not you won your bet, which is key here, whether or not you won money at NHA, where you can use our promo code Stokastic, will match myself and Geoff and Mike will match the three of us your first deposit. Now, Jeff's paying for it, but the three of us on our name, right? It's like we ate the meal, but Geoff is going to sign for it. So it's his meal as far as signature is concerned, right?
I was the last one into the Zoom, so apparently, that's the rule.
I'm
on the hook.
That's the rule, right? Get in early. What's up, bro?
Not much, man. Just enjoy a little Friday, little Bermuda golf action. And
I was just going there.
For craziness of NFL.
You could read my mind. Maybe it's just because you and I and others, I'm sure, Mike, and we share this love of this ridiculous game here. But who did you have ahead of time that we should not be on a look at? That's going to be a
I was gonna. And if I had got in earlier, I would have mentioned this. But Sean O'Hare, guy, I bet he was like 170 to 1 pre. He's still out there like 50 to 1, man. I mean, this is a veteran course. This dude is out. I mean, like he's a 4-time winner. He's been grinding his way back. He's been playing. He's been competitive in the Corn Ferry events. If he's going to ever win again, this is it. And like I said, he's like 4 shots back, but he's got like 6 holes to go. Ben fucking Crane is leading this event.
Amazing.
Who's like 50. He's not going to win.
No.
So, O'Hare is a guy I would actually be targeting live. I literally just doubled down on him.
I love that.
I've also been chasing O'Hare for like the last 5 years of my life. So, but that's another story.
Like Ben and Grillo. All right. I get
yes,
that.
It is very much.
It's very similar to that. All right. Look, my Patrick Rogers 40-20 ladder is looking okay so far. This will be his 4th straight cut that he'll make. And I took a long shot in the event that it was going to be windy and rainy and all the shit that it's not. So Akshay Bhatia is not going to win this, but that's fine. That's fine.
We were all on Bhatia. He was like 300 to 1. I mean, come on.
Exactly 250. I got him. So
get the pocket change out and get some money on Bhatia. I mean, we had to.
Unbelievable. I even took the worst of it. I got him at 250 to 1. You got him at 3 to 1. See, look at the difference. All right, let's jump into it here. We have a busy slate when it comes to this weekend at No House Advantage, and always looking across the board. There are a couple of larger spreads, right? Like the Eagles game and the Bills game come to mind right away because you have 2 teams that are projected to absolutely destroy their opponents. So again, if it's a tight spread or if it's a super large spread, I don't know if you want to just look at, our own area or your own area, Geoff, but where is a good place to start kind of overall?
Yeah, I mean, we could start with that Philly game. I mean, I think that like you said, I mean, I know there's a couple players in there. Like, I mean, I think AJ Brown is live for a big game here. I mean, Steelers secondary, they probably could have given up like a couple touchdowns to the wide receivers if Philly was just a little bit, competent. So that's certainly a player I got my eye on. AJ Brown, potentially to go over. He's coming off a couple, like his yardage totals haven't been that big either. So may even get a good yardage total on No House, but I do kind of expect the Eagles to dominate this game. And I also think like you maybe wanted to look at unders on some of the Steelers wideouts. Freiermuth is probably in a good spot, but like the Eagles secondary is, they're going to, and now you got Robert Quinn. Like this is a tough spot for Kenny Pickett, man. Like,
yeah, Kenny Pickett, Pickens.
He may not make it through the game.
No, I'm with you, man. And I think it's unders all aboard. Like if you really look at it, Najee Harris as well, because how bad is this game going to get? The Philadelphia Eagles are on a historic run when it comes to second quarter scoring, Geoff, right? So the expectation is that a Pittsburgh team, and look, they completely shocked their you-know-what, beating the Bucks. Now it's just, and then they had Brian Flores, who knows the Dolphins better than anything. So this week is total. Everybody's expecting a letdown for the Eagles. No, I think this is a letdown for the Steelers.
Right? Look, and the fact that like the Steelers covered last week was a joke because A, McDaniel could have kicked the field goal and covered the game. And B, that game, Miami was moving the ball at will in that game, man. Like I still don't know how that game was only 16-10. So I got the Eagles here to just smack down. Like I said, I think that legit, like you could look at like Miles Sanders overs. Like I think that they could just be running the ball in the whole second quarter. I think the Philly's going to have the ball a ton in this game, a ton. So I like your call. Unders across the board for Pittsburgh, overs for Philly.
So let's look at this. And I want you to just take a second and let's think through this here, because this, I believe, is going to be followed by more people than not. Maybe it's 60%, maybe it's 100%, maybe it's 51%, what have you. But I think more people than not will look at this and say, yeah, the Eagles are going to pummel the Steelers. Where is the contrarian play on the Steelers side? Where is the guy who you think, you know what, if I did want to load up on a 10-point play, a 10 through 7-point play, what have you, this 7-point play, this is where it would be as far as contrarian from the Steelers side.
Yeah, like to be contrarian, I mean, it would probably be like Pat Freiermuth, someone like that. I mean, like Freiermuth, obviously down the middle, getting 9 targets last week. I mean, that would probably be the dude I would think about going over on. And then on the other side, like outside, I mean, I think Deontay Johnson is a player like I would be okay fading as well. I mean, I think a lot of people probably be thinking about the under there. So I mean, Freiermuth for me is an over to be a little bit contrarian, and then probably going under on Deontay Johnson. I think will be a little bit contrarian as well.
Anything under on the Eagles?
Eagles under. I mean, I think like Devonta. I think.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say. I think Devonta Smith. I mean, is probably like a solid under. He may just see like not that many targets. I mean, to be honest. So, Devonta Smith. His targets have been up and down to start the season anyways. So again, I mean, we're not going to go over on everyone on the Eagles. And I think it's the spot where AJ Brown, just being the dominant outside receiver that he is probably going to be the one moving the ball a lot. So Devonta Smith would probably be an under target for me. Maybe Goddard, although Goddard can really just get there on a few catches. He's so good after the catch, but yeah, I think AJ Brown is the one guy I wouldn't want to fade here. Sanders, I think, is a good over target. Hurts is always over for me. And then, like I said, Harris, Pickens, those guys, I'd probably just be fading.
What about the other big game here? And just kind of looking at it, getting to, the slate that we have, there are a couple that we're still waiting on information for, by all means. The Packers is going to be in the later slate. So for just the early slate, we have the Jets game, that Lions-Dolphins game. I don't know what you want to do with that. But one game that should jump out, especially because we do expect Darren Waller to be back. You have a couple of guys very prolific on that offense, that high-scoring offense. And the Raiders' defense is pretty bad, so that could open some things up here for a Saints team that just looks to be going nowhere. That game kind of jumped out to me if you want to look around in that, knowing that we're still a little up in the air with the quarterback spot in New Orleans, although technically only Andy Dalton is available anyway. So I don't know if you were looking at that. You have the obvious guys in Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, like Waller 3.5, 43.5. I think getting to 44 receiving yards might be a little easier than even the 4 receptions.
Especially coming off like a pretty big break. I mean, you got to figure he's probably going to be good to go here. Yeah, Darren Waller is. I mean, it's the Saints who do. I tend to just avoid tight ends against them. That'd be like my only thing. But Waller's not really a tight end either. I mean, he's kind of just a receiver, so I don't know how much you worry about that. I think Waller's definitely, especially for like the no house advantage games. Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense to take an over. I mean, you got a depressed prop. Darren Waller was a player who would typically be seen well over 50 yards. And I mean, there's a little bit of concern that like he's just not the same Darren Waller anymore, but it's still a pretty low prop. Could get there on volume. I'd be about that as well. I think Andy Dalton, if you're getting an INT prop this week, is again super live. I mean,
it's a half. Yeah,
this dude is going to throw an interception every game. Like
you can't help it.
No, you can't help it. The Saints defense isn't good enough, right? The Saints defense isn't good enough to cover for Andy Dalton. So Andy Dalton's going to have to throw the ball, and if he's starting, like he's going to throw a pick. So yeah, that one I feel pretty good about. The Derek Carr, like this should be a spot for Carr to go over too. Like it almost feels trappy, the line with Carr, like 255, like it's low. We've seen Derek Carr with like 270 props.
Yep.
This year, and like Josh Jacobs is coming on, and I think that's what's gotten into this. But like the Saints still pretty good at stopping the run, and I don't know.
They're down a couple of guys, right? Is Lattimore even playing? We don't know.
That's and that's the other factor, right? Like their secondary is still banged up. So I would lean toward, like, this number feels a little low to me, but it also feels a little trappy. It's just, yeah, the Raiders, I think, are the better team, but they're still the Raiders. So, I mean, I would lean over on Carr. Again, it's not really a strong play, as you can think, but you always like to correlate. If you're going to take an over on Waller, maybe you make like Carr a low point play too. I think he probably gets there. This Saints secondary has been really bad lately. They've been giving up big games left and right. So, Kyler Murray was really efficient last week. He didn't have to throw that much because the game was so weird. They got all those pick sixes, but if there's only one pick six instead of like two, then
right.
I think Carr probably gets there.
It's interesting as you lay out the passing yards, the word you mentioned it being trappy. And I think there's a way to play that where a lot of people, I think, Geoff, and correct me if I'm wrong, but just trying to pick up on the specific know-how strategy, which is different than just a regular DFS. And you do a good job each week explaining how contrarian to the NHA field can have its subtleties to just a regular DFS field. But with that said, I feel like this would be a pretty strong 10 to 7 point contrarian play to go under, in the sense that I don't see anybody doing it. I think you're either going over or pass in the scenario. You're looking at Derek Carr and saying, yeah, I like it. Oh my God, it's 255, easy, or something's up. I don't trust it. Let me stay away, as opposed to maybe fading the field if you're playing multiple tickets.
Well, and I'm going to extend that because I like that thought line, because it extends to the Andy Dalton interception prop. If we got Andy Dalton to play, if you're going to play Dalton over an interception, which I think you should, if we get another pick six, I mean, it can lead to the same scenario where Carr's throwing the ball 25, 30 times instead of 35, 40.
Yep.
So if you're going to play the Dalton interception, I do like that as a contrarian play to add in the Carr under. And you could probably even think about Jacobs over. I mean, we have Jacobs projected with like the third highest rush total this week here, not like over 90 yards, it looks like, in our DFS projections. And the no house projections will be up on site. They're free. They'll be up on site later in the week, probably tonight, probably right after the show. Of course, it won't be available for us, but they'll be up there. But like Jacobs. I mean, I know I just got done talking about the Saints rush defense, but it's just not the same Saints defense. So, no. And Jacobs has quite frankly looked amazing. So, yards after contact, it's all there. I could see him getting there. I would say that I do like, if you're going to correlate Dalton over an INT, Carr under. I don't know, if you put Jacobs in, probably put him last just because he's got a big total at this point. But I won't be shocked if he gets there either. I think the Raiders will just keep trying to ride him at this point. He's easily their best path to victory right now.
So do you want to stay in the early slate? Do you want to bounce to the afternoon slate? The reason why I ask, Geoff, is because this is like the battle of two "are you freaking kidding me" teams in the Giants and the Seahawks. Yeah,
I like this. I'm really excited for this game.
Let's jump into it. Okay. Let's see what you have here. We have a couple of options, by all means. Saquon, Daniel Jones, Slayton are going to jump out. Geno, Kenneth Walker, Lockett, and Disley is the other option now with no DK.
What's their do we have a prop for Darius Slayton?
We do 2.5 receptions for Slayton and 39.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, we got to slam the over there.
On both?
Yeah.
I
think Darius Slayton, I think is a great spot. I think it's a good spot for, I actually think Daniel Jones is it's like a good spot to take his overs as well. The Seahawks don't blitz that much. I think they're going to limit Jones in the run game. They've seen Daniel Jones, what he can do. I think that Pete Carroll will have a good plan just to limit that and really try. And like one thing the Seahawks do is they let guys out in man-and-man coverage a lot. Slayton's a big, fast guy. I think he'll get open. I'm just looking at the sportsbook props for Slayton too, by the way. Like his receiving yards total is low, man. He's getting targeted downfield a ton. He could add 100 yards last week. Was targeting the end zone a couple times as well on long throws. I know Wan'Dale Robinson out targeted him, but like the air yards and the depth of target was way bigger for Slayton. So that's a player I'm just targeting in general. And I like going over on the 2.5 for sure. And then Kenneth Walker, I don't even care what the total is. We're going over here. This dude is going to absolutely mash this defense. I don't know how the thing is, like, the Giants have been good. They've been coached up well on offense. They're smart. They're using Daniel Jones, but I still don't know how a team who gives up almost 6 yards per carry has given up like 100-yard games to like 12 carries about 5 times. I don't know how they're 5-1. I think this week is the week where it just comes kind of crashing down a little bit, in that Kenneth Walker is going to put them away early, and the Seattle defense is finally going to force Daniel Jones to beat someone with their arm. And I think that's going to lead to inflated passing totals and yardage totals. But so that I have a very specific way I think this game's going to go. And I don't mind really like hammering it home here that I like Walker's over. I like Slayton. I might even look for this one, just because Saquon gets so many freaking carries. I don't know how excited I'd be about his under, but I do think that Barkley will probably be used more as a passer here. Like I think his receiving props are more live to go over than his rushing. So
81.5 on the ground for Barkley.
88.5.
81.
Yeah. So if it was an inflated total, like we were getting like 84, I'd probably be more prone to go under. I'm just a little scared, gun shy with Saquon because he's getting so much usage. But I do think that Seattle is going to be very hyper focused on that, and they're going to force, like I said, the Giants to do what they haven't really had to do this year, which is air it out. And try and get Saquon to beat them through the air or like Slayton. So yeah, I think it'll lead to inflated receiving totals, but that's I really got a pretty good read on this game. I feel like, so excited to see how it plays out.
By the way, Darius Slayton, Kenneth Walker is sitting at 76.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, I mean, we're going over that.
Your reaction already answers the question that needed to be asked following that, which is, are you surprised by that? And clearly you are, because what were you thinking it was going to be? 84, 85.5? Like,
over 80, at least as big as Saquon's. Like, I think Kenneth Walker out rushes Saquon here. And I mean, again, like, you can come back to stokastic.com. Again, guys, sign up for the site. Always got deals on, but you get, access to the projections. We do have Walker projected to outrush Saquon in this game. So,
which is also a good thing too. Like, you can bet that head to head. Like, there are ways you can take our free projections. And
so many ways. That's the beauty of it,
right? Yeah, I love that. I love that. Now, see, especially here, I mean, you can do like an alt bet with a guy like Walker, and know if you can get that alt out there, maybe 90 yards or something like that, and push it. By the way, the books. Okay, real quick. I'm looking at this here in Pennsylvania, so it may change depending on what state, country, region of the world you live in. But right now, 76.5 on NHA, Geoff. What do you think the book has it at?
Probably like 82.
83.5. Yep.
83. Yeah. So, I mean, people have been, it probably opened around the same that NHA had it, probably at 77 or something.
Yep, and I would see that too. It's smashed, right?
Yeah.
Your reaction is the definition of what just happened. Like, if you could quantify that.
And like, I have a little bit of bias with Kenneth Walker. I thought he was the best running back out of college, like, very clearly. I mean, again, no offense. Breece Hall has looked good too, but I just thought Kenneth Walker had the chance to be potentially Jonathan Taylor level special. And he's a little bit more well-rounded, but he's just, he's as a pure like explosive runner. I think you're going to get a run here of like a Jonathan Taylor run from Kenneth Walker, where 100-yard games are just going to become the norm here. And like I said, this week specifically, the Giants have not stopped anyone. And I'll be shocked if Kenneth Walker doesn't go for 100 yards. Like legit, something's going to happen in this game. Like Geno's got to implode or something for that not to happen, in my opinion. So I don't think that's going to happen either. So,
yeah, I mean, real quick on Geno, just to look at the numbers, 253.5 in the air, 1.5 passing touchdowns in the standard half interception.
Yeah. I mean, like Geno has just been so good. I mean, I would almost, we haven't projected for an INT, but I mean, I'll probably stay away. I do think like the over on Walker and the under on Geno Smith here is fine.
Yep.
I think that like, I think one thing about Geno is like now his props are giving him some respect, and it almost feels like too much respect here. Just because for the simple fact that I think that the Seahawks are going to be able to run the ball. And I think, like I said, if I'm going over on a passing total here, it's going to be Daniel Jones, not Geno Smith this week. I think Geno just may only have to throw the ball like 28 times. So yeah, that's how I'm approaching him. I think pairing Geno is like a low, again, if you're doing lineups, you want a Kenneth Walker over, a Daniel Jones under. I think those two correlate extremely well. So
awesome, man. Awesome. All right. We have a couple of more minutes here. Is there another game or maybe even two, or a player that you thought had, a good opportunity? I don't know if you're buying into the Sam Ehlinger hype, but maybe that's an easy fade. Look, I hate to admit it because I'm here in Philadelphia and I don't want to open up any opportunity for negativity on a night in which the Phillies are going to win game 1 of the World Series, but that's neither here nor there, Geoff. Point being here is that Washington a couple of weeks ago made a key change, and it wasn't at the quarterback. It was in their secondary. Ron Rivera benched 2 starters, and since then, their secondary and their defense as a result has given, I get it, like each week, but there has been a consistent change there over. So I don't know if there was a game you like, have at it, but if not, I would just bring that up as well and say there may be an opportunity. You mentioned Jonathan Taylor to maybe go under on a bunch of other guys simply because it's Ehlinger out there for the first time.
I mean, what are Pittman's totals? I mean, I'd
5.5 and 67.5.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
that's a first half total with like Matt Ryan last year. And that's Matt Ryan.
Yeah. But like you said, I mean, I think Alec Pierce might be the guy. Like, what do we have a Pierce score?
Because we don't. It's a good point. It's not Pierce, it's Mo Alley instead. So you have 1.5 grabs for Mo Alley Cox. That's actually pretty sneaky. 2 grabs for Mo Alley Cox, a tight end. It's the old adage, right? A tight end is a backup quarterback's best friend, etc. That might not be like, that could be a 4-point play only because I don't know how many people are playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't hate it. My only concern there is like they do have like Jelani Woods getting involved.
Oh yeah, you're right. He's not alone.
At the same time, like Mo Alley Cox is seeing the most field. So, and we're just talking about a couple catches. But yeah, I mean, it's probably too low to fade. But yeah, Pittman I think would be an inch. I mean, it's a really good point about the Washington defense, because I know I was looking at their performance when I was looking at this game yesterday, and I was kind of surprised at how well they performed, and then I kind of clicked in like you did that they have made some changes. So I think it's worth fading. I mean, I think that Pittman is worth fading here. We don't have him projected for like super strong, as you can probably imagine. It's kind of just like a neutral target, but I think going under there, and I mean, looking at like an over on Jonathan Taylor is fine as well to correlate those two. I mean, you've got to figure Taylor's just going to get 20 carries here. I mean, seems like that would be the way to go. I think the other game that just quickly like to touch on, I'll just throw this guy out. I mean, DJ Moore still with, I mean, I know the props come up. It's 60 yards now, whatever it is. I think it opened at like 58 across the industry, but like this Atlanta secondary, AJ Terrell hasn't practiced all week. They have another safety that hasn't practiced all week. It's just a bad secondary anyways. I think that PJ Walker gets DJ Moore over this total quite easily again. I think you just take the over on DJ Moore until we get up to a realistic target, like high 60s. I would just go there. That was just another one that seemed pretty obvious to me.
Yeah, because think about it. Like, how does DJ Moore not get peppered in a game now?
Exactly.
Dante Foreman runs for, 6 huge rushes and puts the team up by 3 touchdowns. Okay. Yeah. I'll take my chances, Geoff. That's not happening every single week.
And especially against Atlanta, who is like, they have a pretty good rush defense. That's like kind of been their thing. Yep. I just think it's a good matchup for DJ Moore. And and the other thing is like, there's no more targets. Like there's no one to suck targets away. He's getting 10 targets a game, I think, from here on out.
Yeah.
You just need to rely on it. And I think this might be the last week we get like a true prop where we can really just have like that 5-yard edge kind of thing. So yeah, that's one that just kind of stuck out.
Awesome. All right. Appreciate everybody hanging. Stokastic is the code. Use it at No House Advantage. We'll match your first deposit up to $50. We'll be back next week, Monday, Thursday, Friday. We have you covered, all the big games, including the weekend here. Don't go anywhere because the NHA show continues. The hour continues with Terry and Emac for the NBA. Mike, appreciate you producing. We'll see you all out there. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button or the subscribe button, shame on you, but you can change that by doing it right now. We'll see you. Geoff, have a great weekend.
See you, dudes. Dudes.